Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Kaspa, aka KAS. This is not to be confused with Casper, two completely different projects. Now, this is a project that has been on the radar for a while. If you have been a part of the Discord and or even the Patreon, you know that we were talking about KAS back in November of 2022. And it was on the Patreon since January of 2023. Now, in the Discord, we didn't really talk too much about it. We didn't really say much about it. We were just talking about it and analyzing it back in November of this year, or last year, sorry. And this year, in January, I added it to my list of top 50 to 100x opportunities in this space. I do believe that KAS has been an incredible mover since then, doing roughly well over a 10x plus move. Absolutely incredible, to say the least. Now, the thing about Kaspa that concerns me is just the use of it. Every single time that I check the Explorer tab, we don't really see much activity. So I do think that Kaspa has been moving well off of just hype alone, which kind of concerns me because, listen, if we lose a few levels, then things can get definitely concerning. But beyond that, right, I do think that a few coins come out around the space during every single major cycle that becomes an absolute massive mover in the market. A few of these coins could be looked at as Solana, ADA, and also, by the way, Chainlink was kind of very similar to this. If you go back in time, so I'm going to go to the all-time chart on all of these. I'm also going to look at the log scale just so that we have a little bit of a better view. So let's start with Solana, right? Solana came out right around like 2020. And it just kind of went sideways. And then all of a sudden, right around June of 2020, it was up only. It was up only all the way up until roughly around November of 2021, hitting about $250 off of literally sub-dollar prices. Absolutely insane, doing well over a 250x plus gain off of the lows. This is how significant things can move in the market off of just hype alone. And of course, yes, Solana did have a lot of VC backers really kind of pushing the price because, again, VCs have lockup periods. So when you lock up the supply and you have a lot of the retail sector really kind of hyping it out, because I remember it going, parabolic on social media platforms, then guess what? You see movement like this. ADA was not shy to that game either. We've seen ADA top out back in 2017, 2018. Had a massive drop in the market all the way up until March of 2020, like pretty much every other coin, hitting about roughly 2.5 cents or so. And then from there, it pumped to nearly $3. Again, a lot of this was just hype. It was just all FOMO and hype. I remember nearly everyone talking about ADA. In fact, I actually remember friends of mine talking about ADA that don't even know anything about crypto. So again, you can really kind of see that a lot of these coins become massive gainers in the bull run just off of hype alone. And Chainlink, obviously Chainlink has a great use case tied to it. We already know about Chainlink. We've talked about Chainlink in the past. During March of 2020 into the summer of 2020, we experienced a DeFi summer. Essentially, a lot of the DeFi coins that got killed during March of 2020 had an absolutely massive run up in the summer of 2020, notably called DeFi summer. And then, of course, it did have a major sell-off, and then it did go all the way to about roughly $50. Again, having a great gain. I mean, listen, if you were here buying Link during like 2019, even into 2020, then you've seen some great gains off of it. Of course, those that were buying it before 2020 and like the middle of 2019, you absolutely killed it. But beyond that, right, a lot of these coins do incredible gains. And I do think that Kaspa is kind of similar to that. Now, of course, would I be buying Kaspa today? I mean, at $1 billion market cap, it could still see some great gains, but it's questionable on if it's going to see massive, 50x plus gains. There's some other great opportunities in the space that are sub $1 billion in market cap, if I'm being completely honest. And remember, like the bear market, in my opinion, is the best time to be looking at coins that haven't moved. When we look at Kaspa, I mean, from literally 2020, from 2022 into 2023, I mean, this thing has done an absolute massive gain. I mean, if you look at the all-time chart on this thing, it's up roughly 27,000%. Now, of course, like I said, could it go up? Yeah, it could. I even said back in January of this year when it was at roughly, I think it was like 4.5 cents, 5 cents. I said, listen, this thing is probably going to be a 50x gainer. And again, 50x, could it hit a 50x? Sure, it could. But even in the Patreon update, I said, but, again, a 10x is even better, right? Like we could hit a 10x on this, take those profits into something that hasn't moved yet, and turn a massive profit off of that with lower risk. Again, as we really kind of look at the space, anything is possible though. Could Kaspa hit, a $25-50 billion market cap? Sure, it could. But, what's the probability of it? We don't know, right? But I do think that it will move significantly from here. I think that Kaspa could probably go to anywhere between, 25 to 50 cents on the high end. And it could go higher, right? We could see $1. I wouldn't be surprised if we seen $1 if a lot of the hype is still there when we get into the real bull run and retail kind of floods back in. But Kaspa has been absolutely killing it lately. And there is some great statistics behind it. Listen, I'm not betting against technology. For those that don't know, Kaspa is actually doing the same thing as other major projects within this space are doing, which is trying to solve the trilemma. We also see Kaspa saying like that it has the fastest and the most scalable instant confirmation around the transaction layer ever built on a proof of work engine, which technically is not false, right? Because when we look at Hedera, they're not really moving off of proof of work. They're moving off of proof of stake, and same with Kasper. And a lot of the other efficient chains out there or projects and networks, they're kind of built away from proof of work. Proof of work has not been really kind of targeted in the previous years because, again, a lot of the inefficiencies around it. But with Kaspa, they have this new technology, which is block DAG. And for those that know about DAG, we recently just talked about it. Kaspa itself is actually based on Ghost DAG and Phantom. It's a protocol, which is a scalable sort of reinvention of the original Bitcoin consensus. So it's essentially the same design, but with a lot more efficiencies tied to it. And so far, Kaspa has been absolutely killing that. And I think that is most notable in the hash rate around it. We do see witnessing the dynamic surge in Kaspa's hash rate is truly astonishing. And this is from altcoinist.com. In a matter of hours, it escalated from 33 PHs, reaching a pinnacle at 36.78 PHs, marking a new all-time high. The robust progression underscores the growing confidence and engagement in the KAS network. In the broader context, it's essential to spotlight a notable divergence in Bitcoin's hash rate and price, a scenario where the hash rate amplifies while the price remains static or declines isn't new. Historically, such a pattern has often signaled a bullish trend, with the hash rate acting as a precursor to a potential upswing in price. This phenomenon underscores the intricate dynamics between mining activity and market valuation. It accentuates the anticipatory nature of mining engagement, often relative of a miner's confidence in the network's future valuation. And here we have Kaspa's hash rate. Again, very significant to mention, especially in terms of even market price. Here you guys have the market price with the total hash rate. And this is Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this is Bitcoin, but this is Kaspa's hash rate. And the hash rate on Kaspa has been absolutely killing it. Again, here you guys have the total hash rate over here. It's pretty significant. Listen, when we really kind of look at things happening around Bitcoin versus Kaspa, a lot of people have been making this comparison for a while. Don't necessarily know if we would be comparing KAS to Bitcoin right now simply off of supply alone, but off of the generalized consensus mechanism, yeah, they are very, very similar, except Kaspa is a lot more efficient, which technically is not that hard to do with how old Bitcoin has become and how outdated the technology has become as well. But don't tell Bitcoin maxis that. But beyond that, we know that there has been some great developments around Kaspa. I'm just, like I said, worried about use cases, right? Like, who's actually utilizing Kaspa? We don't really have a lot of updates around that, which I would love to see a lot more building happening. Listen, Kaspa is still very, very new. I don't doubt that we will start to see a lot more use cases building out on it. But until we see that, and until we start to see the network being really heavily utilized, I'm still going to have my concerns, which I think is everyone should have concerns when they are looking into any project, and they should make sure to alleviate those concerns as fast as possible. And we haven't seen that just yet. But like I said, here we have Kaspa beyond the block. Kaspa is the fastest open source, decentralized, and fully scalable layer 1 in the world. The world's first block DAG, a digital ledger enabling parallel blocks and instant transaction confirmation, built on a robust proof of work engine with rapid single-second block intervals, built by industry pioneers, led by the people. And here's Kaspa at a glance. You can see the overall viewpoint here in terms of the block time, the market cap, the max supply, the circulating supply, and things like that. And for those concerned about tokenomics, yes, the tokenomics are roughly 28.7 billion max supply. Here you guys have it. It's 28.7 billion. Total supply about roughly 20.9 billion right now. So a little under like 7.7 billion or so that needs to be mined out, and this is going to happen over time. You could actually look at the full-on release schedule here. This is the full-on tokenomics of Kaspa and how we get to the max supply. The max supply won't be realized in until roughly, and it's actually kind of crazy, but it's like roughly like 2037. But going back to the overall view here, there's some other great things to really kind of look at. Here's the overall viewpoint of what they are utilizing in terms of the actual consensus layer. Like I said, it's Ghost Egg with Phantom. It's the Phantom protocol, which you guys can read more about if you want to. But essentially, it's just a faster Bitcoin consensus mechanism. It's the best way that I could sum it up. But here's the Kaspa features. Again, a lot of these projects are solving the trilemma, which is the usage of digital assets in terms of security, scalability, and decentralization, and utilizing a revolutionary block DAG as opposed to blockchain. Kaspa allows the fastest, scalable, and most secure transactions with absolutely no sacrifice to decentralization. Here we have faster transactions, instant confirmation, scalability, efficient proof of work, security, and block DAG. And again, a lot of this hasn't really been, tried and tested. Yes, a lot of this is still, factual. It is technically factual, but we want to start to see the network being utilized heavily, because this was a big concern even around Hedera, right? Like when we first talked about Hedera, when we first learned about Hedera, the technology behind it and the consensus mechanism behind it was very, very exciting. But during roughly 2021, it heavily underperformed, right? It heavily underperformed, and it wasn't really getting a lot of use case. A lot of people were saying like, yeah, it has all these efficiencies, but where's the use? When you really kind of look at it, like hype can only take you so far, which is why I say like we want to start to see a lot more happening within the Kaspa ecosystem, which, like I said, I don't doubt that we will see. I'm just waiting until we actually see it. But again, Kaspa has been one of the biggest winners so far that we talked about in the Discord and even also on the Patreon. But beyond that, when we actually look at the vision, here is the overall vision. So the project was to build a Nakamoto-like service that operates as fast as internet speed allows. So they wanted to have the Bitcoin consensus mechanism, but in a lot faster, to provide a lot more scalable use cases that could potentially be built upon Kaspa that cannot be built within Bitcoin. Again, this is where Bitcoin really kind of lacks. This is where we talk about how Bitcoin essentially will be outdated technology, and it already is outdated technology, and we will see something flip it and things like that. A lot of people don't like that, but listen, the truth is there, right? Like there's not a lot of use case for Bitcoin, and a lot of people will say, what's building on Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin this valuable, but nobody's building on it? Again, like I said, that only goes so far. You got to remember, Bitcoin paved the way for a lot of these tokens to be realized in. So I do still think that a lot of these tokens need to have a lot of use case potential behind them, and also a lot of use already happening on them in order for them to hit those major high valuations. But it doesn't mean that Kaspa can't hit a high valuation. I still think that, like I said, Kaspa could hit anywhere between like a $10 billion to $25 billion market cap at the all-time highs. It's possible. But beyond that, they do break down a few things around their security, which they do talk about a lot of the things happening around security. It's really kind of a lot of just discussions around the consensus mechanism and things like that around like Ethereum, and how Kaspa is really kind of the embodiment of the trilemma, really kind of solving that at the end of the day. And they wanted Kaspa to be revolutionary in its overall design, making sure that decentralization is still held up true to its name while not sacrificing anything, while solving, again, the trilemma. But beyond this, we have started to kind of see a few developments happening. A lot of it is wallets, right? Caspium, which is a wallet, just recently released their version 1.0.1, which again, wallet technology is great. I love wallets, but the big thing about wallets is wallets are wallets, right? There's a dime and a dozen of them. So I want to start to see a little bit more. That's my only concern. Don't take it as FUD, because I know that there's a lot of Kaspa lovers out there, and I don't blame you. I mean, listen, like Kaspa has been absolutely killing it. It's been a big player, like I said, around our community here. And as we really kind of look at the future of Kaspa, I think that's going to be very successful. I just want to start to see a lot more happening on the network. That's pretty much it, because you could go and look at the ecosystem and the Explorer. If you actually go to the block Explorer, here you guys have the overall Explorer here. I don't know if this one includes it, but oh yeah, it does. So here's the transactions. Transactions aren't too crazy right now on the network. I think that the other Explorer is actually way better, the KAS FYI. So the KAS.FYI is actually giving us a little bit of a better insight here. So roughly 0.8 to 2 TPS, nothing too crazy there. Like I said, like the network's not heavily utilized just yet, which is why like I would love to start to see this, being more heavily utilized, having a lot more use cases built out on the network, which, time will tell if that's going to be the case. Now, also active addresses. So I've been looking at this for a while, and the active addresses seem to be a little bit glitched. There was like a 6.5 million spike here. And when we actually go to the top addresses, we know that the total addresses here that have at least one KAS or equal to one KAS is roughly about 232, almost 233,000. So that 6.5 million, sorry, is probably a glitch. But one thing that I have been looking at here is the address distribution here. So when you look at the amount of holders here in terms of the name, you can go to those that are holding 100 million to 1 billion, those that are holding 10 million to 100 million, and you can also see the count here. What I have been looking at in just the last 90 days is the growth on these, and if they are seeing a massive downtrend, because listen, when you start to see whales selling, like it's a big deal, right? Mainly what I've been looking at is the dolphin, because the dolphin makes up a big category on this. There's roughly 13,000 plus addresses, and as you guys do see, going all the way back on the 90-day span, the dolphins were making up roughly 10,513 total holders. We go today, this is where we are at now. This has increased by over 3,000. And by the way, even the whales, right? 191 on the whales, roughly now sitting at about 226. So we are starting to see a lot of accumulation happening on the high end, with those actually putting a lot of money in. You could actually see the 30-day percentage change here on the whales, on the sharks, and on those actually active. So very interesting to see. So overall, what is my viewpoint on Kaspa? I think that this is one of the very interesting projects. Do I think that it is, something that I would be parking a heavy amount of money into right now? Not a massive amount, because there's, like I said, better opportunities out there. But I do think that Kaspa is not too bad of a pick to have in your portfolio. I think that there was way better entries. I think that those getting in now aren't too late to the party, but it's just like, what's the total gain here? I mean, like 100x on Kaspa today would be $100 billion, right? In market cap. Is that possible? I've seen crazier, but it's probably on the lower end probability wise. So I do think that from today's prices, we could potentially see anywhere between, a 5 to 10x, maybe even a 15x. I wouldn't mind seeing $1 on Kaspa, but again, it's something that's a lower probability chance of happening. But like I've said, I've seen crazier in the space. I do think that Kaspa is a great project. I've overlooked it many times. I've looked at it, here and there, and it's been one of my biggest picks on the Patreon so far. It's been very successful as well, which I'm very happy about. And, I took a big bet on it back in November of 2022 into December of 2022, and I haven't looked back since. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this quick little review. I know that it wasn't the quickest. It's probably over like 20 minutes long, but I hope that that gave you enough information that you guys need about Kaspa, just so that you can get to know the project, get to understand the technology behind it and things like that. If you guys do want more videos on Kaspa, let me know. I might be able to make a few here and there. So if you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on for guys more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.